morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is our high school, 9 through 12. As I told you, it's a smaller group than our middle school. Today we have Mr. Hailin Bao. He comes to us from China. He is with the dissident project, Young Voices. He is here to tell you his story about how he ended up in the US of A, why he is a dissident, and why he fled from China. So, with that, please welcome Mr. Hailin Bao.
It is shared. I think it's shared.
Okay.
Oh, it's in the middle. Shared with. Oh yeah, got it. Good morning, everyone. First, I think I'll make two apologies here. The first one is I apologize if in my following address there's anything hard to understand, hard to distinguish, because I haven't yet slept for more than 24 hours, and I know all of you guys here are gonna go to a great college. I mean, this is a thing you will learn in the college is try to still make things happen, even you need to stay up. Yeah, so I'll try my best to make everything as good as possible. And the second thing is, it's about my story here. So it's a letter, apologetic letter I wrote 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It says, I, Hailin Bao, citizen ID 140-108-2002-0728-1916, sincerely apologize for spreading the rumor in the group chat out of Asana. I have realized the harmful consequences caused by this behavior. I willingly obey the ideologies and policies of the Chinese Communist Party and believe the decisions made by the leaders of the party and the state are correct and intelligent. March 26, 2021. This is what I was forced to write down and read to when I was in the police station in China 4 years ago. And why this would happen on me, and why would I have to write a thing like this? So to figuring these questions out, let's go back to take a time machine to 2014. Okay. When I just graduated from elementary school. So at that time, my parents gifted me a smartphone as my graduation gift. So just like many of you guys here, and I'm also very interested in the games, in all those fancy things. So I try to, the first thing I did is to search it through the Google search engine to find the games I may be interested in. But no matter what I did, it just says 404 not found. The site can't be reached. So I went to check my home's Wi-Fi connection, and I shut it down and reopened the modem again and again. But nothing changed regardless of what I did. I was pretty confused at that time, but later I knew it was because of the Great Firewall. So what is the Great Firewall? You may have heard about the Great Wall in any of your history class or social studies about that. And it's basically the Chinese emperors built it to defend the invasions from the Mongolian tribes. Even though it not always works, because it could easily be bypassed or being climbed through. So, but in the 21st century, even there's no any cold weapons war anymore. The Chinese Communist government, they built a new invisible high-tech wall inside its cyberspace, which practically prohibit all foreign online services. So they started this project very early, in 1996, when the internet and computer technologies were just introduced in China. So under this wall, at the beginning, people said this wall would destroy the Chinese internet industry. But some foreigners, they weirdly they established a parallel universe under it. So basically everything, as I said, the Google could not be used in China because it's banned by the government. So we could only use the Baidu as the search engine. And even the email, the Gmail, like our Outlook, or even the Google, like I just used to share my presentation, are still not accessible in China. We can only access the NetEase, which is also the Chinese company, and it's under the government's control. And this is the most ironic thing, is like the TikTok, or originally when it was first made in China, it's called Douyin. The TikTok is not allowed in China. So previously, I think you have seen some news about the US Congress attempted to ban TikTok in the US, and the Supreme Court held that bill is constitutional. But in fact, it's like, and even that happens, the United States did not practically prohibit TikTok. It's still functioning, and it's just working. But for the Chinese users, they literally can never access that TikTok in the normal way, because the government, they will automatically make every user registered by the Chinese phone number to go to the Douyin, which is heavily censored. Like the government guarantees everything on the Douyin is healthy, educational, and without any harmful content on it. So literally, with this setup, the internet world of China is separated from the rest of the world. But under this situation, some people, there's still a way to get over the wall or bypass the wall. It's called we can use this thing, connect to a virtual private network, the VPN. It also had the name called a proxy server. Like, it's basically, because it's called a proxy, it's just like you're asking someone else to help you to access the info outside the wall. And sometimes, and I know that in the US, some people use it to pirate things from books or movies, videos. It's like for trying to protect their identity. And in this case, it's like trying to bypass or trying to give the new IP address to the connector so that they are no longer under the control of the CCP. This is what I learned to use when I was in high school, and I saw many things through it. The first thing I saw is the Tiananmen massacre. It happened in 1989. Basically, the government used the literally military power, like tanks, like machine guns, to kill all the students, peacefully protesting in the Tiananmen Square, who just attempted to get a higher degree of the freedom, democracy, and reformation in China. But the government just didn't care at all. They sent all these tanks, and people died. But unfortunately, this huge, worldly shocking event, and you know what? Many people, I think in the Eric Foner's Give Me Liberty, this event was even regarded at the beginning of the end of the Cold War. But unfortunately, it's just nothing. It's just seems like entirely ripped out of the history. And so there's no mention about it anywhere, basically. So I was shocked by that. It changed my worldview for the first time. I know that our government is not as good as it said in the propaganda. And in addition to the things happened in the history, there's another thing. It's about our current leader, Xi Jinping. The propaganda tells us he's a very smart guy, especially when he was young. He had read many books, and he even claimed he read the U.S. founding documents, like the Federalist Papers, like the Common Sense. But unfortunately, as I knew, these books didn't even have a Chinese translation until the late 1980s. So there's no way for him to actually read them. Especially he grew up in Cultural Revolution, where literally all those foreign books were banned. And if anyone found to have them, it's going to be a big, very serious trouble. So, and most substantially, he can't even distinguish the basic Chinese character. So it's especially because he made this mistake, it is very affirmed that he just don't know those words at all. And not only the things happening from inside China, and I also saw on the other side of the Taiwan Strait, the Taiwanese people who had also experienced a dictatorship and authoritarian ruling before, and they also had a shared culture and also language from the mainland China. But their people, they could freely vote for the candidates by their free will without any interference. And they can also publish basically any kind of political opinion without worrying about being arrested for just saying those things. And so for me, this is a new world. It seems that the democracy and freedom should also be available, be practical in China, in the mainland China. So these are all the things I saw throughout the VPN. So at this time, maybe you will think, oh, it's not that worse. I can still bypass the wall, so I can still do the normal things like you guys in the US. But the problem is VPN has never been safe. So VPN, another name, is called a proxy server. So the proxy means you're literally asking for someone else to do the job for you. So when this happens, it's like the guy who is helping you knows exactly what you are looking for and also knows what exactly going to be returned to your side. So the proxy, if they're in a good faith helping you to do that, it's fine. But sometimes it's like the proxy, the VPN are controlled by the government. They are like the base of the Chinese cyber police force. So the VPN is definitely not a long-term choice, and it is not safe. So I think here's it's just about another function of the Great Firewall. So it's for the government. It's just not only to defend the foreign uncensored info from coming inside China, but also under this wall, it encloses a field for the CCP to enforce the state surveillance, because they neither don't want the people from the inside to rebel against the government. So because they saw the power of social media, they saw any public outcry can quickly spread and form a kind of uncontrolled solidarity. So the government now, they started to build a matrix. I think you have all either watched the film Matrix or heard about it or heard anything because it's so famous. It's just the same thing here. It's something that can control every single aspect of your life and you cannot escape from it. That's exactly what happened in China. And one of the first, most important branch of this matrix is called WeChat. WeChat at the beginning, just like all other Chinese domestic internet services, is trying to substitute another software called WhatsApp at that time. Because I remember at that time the message could only be delivered, only the text can be delivered by the message, a telephone message. So this chat software provides an opportunity for people to send voicemails and emojis. And so it's a kind of more and more people started to love to use it because they just don't want to type it sometimes. So with the more people using it, the WeChat has a very extensive customer. And then they started to step by step implement a thing called the WeChat Pay. It's like a Zelle wallet, but it's connected to your account to contact with your friends and families or probably even strangers. And because of this financial function, it gives the government the legitimacy to ask every user of the WeChat to provide a citizen ID. The citizen ID in China is just like the social security number here. And in the most case, besides the most important people or your employers, you will never want to tell your social security number to anyone else. But now the government are asking everyone to provide this very identifiable number to the government, and because they want to track every account to the offline identity. So, but at that time, many people still don't see this as a problem, or they just think it's if they're not doing the bad thing, then I think they are. It's just lots of people just use it and take it. So gradually, more and more stores, groceries, they no longer accept cash anymore. And even the street food like this, they're mostly using the WeChat. So it's like it's literally very awkward in China to use the cash in recent days, because even it's even not that bad in the case like this, because there's a benefit like from the hygiene, because the cash can be very dirty. So by doing this, they no longer need to touch the cash at all. So many people just don't see. They see this as an advancement. They see this as something did by the great achievement that all other countries, especially the U.S., couldn't do. That's the government propaganda always says. Oh, our WeChat payment is the best in the world. But this thing, because just everyone is using it. Okay, so now during the pandemic in 2020, the government put a new thing onto this WeChat. It's called the health QR code. Literally, it's just like a traffic light. For the people who are free from any risk of the COVID, they're given a green code. They're allowed, if they show that green code, they're allowed to get into any to access the public space like grocery, shopping mall, and even like a transportation, public transportation like train station or airport. And for those who are suspicious to contact those who are infected, the infected are the red ones, and the suspicious one are the yellow one. So basically, by identify who's suspicious to the COVID, they also it also justifies them to track everyone's movement. And they either through the signal, the phone signal, or they ask everyone, because every place, every venue will have that kind of a code like that. So you just scan it. To be admitted into that place, you must scan it and show them you have the green code to get there. So sometimes it's even like the residential, because most of the city dwellers in China are living in the apartments. So those residential area also have this thing. So it's like if you don't have the WeChat, don't have this valid health record, you may not go back to your own home. So it's very crazy. And this is also where my stories begin. It's during the pandemic and people are all restrained from going out. So things get boring, and one day I just, like you will try to see things from the outside the wall. I found this interesting video. It's about Xi Jinping he was attending a international conference in Russia, and during that conference he was questioned by the journalist, and that journalist asked him a very complex question. So in that case he couldn't give any response to it. So he just awkwardly take out his little notes from his suit and saying, "Let me check whether my notes have anything said about this." To me, this is this is another irony or another paradox that contradicts against the government's propaganda. He has to rely all the things written, prepared well by his secretaries, by his Portuguese, or I would say in this case. So it's just funny for me. And so I just take the screenshot, and send it to a group chat with some friends and people who are like-minded ideas. When I even forgot I did this, after another day, I suddenly saw my WeChat account was saying permanently suspended. Why? Because they said I spread malicious rumors and other unlawful content. So I want to pay extra attention to the word malicious rumor. I don't disagree. Honestly, I'm indeed malicious to the CCP or the Xi Jinping for doing that. But it's definitely not a rumor, because this is literally his most realistic reaction in front of the foreign journalist. No one, it's not AI, it's not deep fake, and no one trying to it's just a very truth, matter of fact from the beginning. But they're just saying this is the rumor. So I think things are getting pretty clear here is the government wants to define what is a rumor and what is the truth. So it's literally no one else can, it's like your own like intelligence or abilities are entirely disregarded. And so it's just the power. They want to enforce that power upon you. So, and I see this kind of like mentality on the, this kind of like power trying to control also parallel with the things happening here. And sometimes some people like to say, I support free speech, but they're just not the hate speech. But the problem is, who had the authority to define what the hate speech is? Is that like for example, violent or something calling for the harms or something? But the problem is, in many cases, like I think there are tons of examples you can see. There are dual standards out there. So it's like it's okay to saying the violence, inciting violence to a certain group of people, but it can be tolerated if they're against the other group of people. So essentially, they're not caring about eliminating the hate from the society. They're just caring about quieting the people who are dissenting from them. And yeah, my WeChat account, going back to that story, my WeChat account is now permanently suspended, which means at this time, you can recall I lost my contacts, my friends' contacts, my family's contacts, and I lost the most important thing about my WeChat wallet. I cannot access it. I cannot buy. It's not that easy for me to go to the grocery, go to the convenience store, and also I couldn't use that health QR code, which means I must follow my parents to get back into my own home. So it's a very troublesome and also very awkward thing. Basically everywhere I go, when I was trying to add my friend back. So the thing is, even though I could successfully rebuild recreate or re-establish a WeChat account, but it's just a very this is the first time I realized without WeChat there's nothing I can do. So after one day, when I thought this is probably the end of the story, I have my new account now, I can also do these things. These things are coming back, so probably it's fine. So I received another phone call. I received a phone call from the local police station. They said they would like to have a talk with me. And when I asked the reason why, they just give a very bleak and very I would say it's well-intentional response. They're just saying the cyberspace is not a land outside the law. This actually is probably the most frequent slogan you can see in today's China. It's given by Xi Jinping it's in a World Internet conference like that. So it's literally reminding everyone, says anything you did online would be traced to your offline identity. So don't do it, and they're gonna come after you. So yeah, when I received the phone call, I was a little bit scary, but also I was thinking, whether it's just, what's their right, or, I do want a question for it, but I know, because I've heard other people experience the same thing. So yeah, I know that if I didn't choose to go there, maybe they will just came here and try to bring the greater disturbance to not only me, but also my family, including my younger brother. So, and this is also so I just choose to go there by myself and see what's gonna happen there. So when I first arrived there, they not only confirmed my own identity, they also confirmed my family's info. They want to, I would call this is actually a kind of intimidation. And they do remind me that everything I said online maybe not only influence myself, and it will influence my like my younger brother or my parents' careers, opportunities to go to school. So this is a heritage, I would say, inherited from a Mao's era. And this is the Netflix, this comes from a Netflix show. It's a science fiction. It's a re-adaptation from the science fiction called The Three-Body Problem. It's a very, I would say it's a very dense sci-fi. Like I would definitely recommend to read it. But in this scenario, this is the beginning. It's during the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s. The man who was in the custody by the two younger men, the man in the middle was a professor, and the younger men were his former students. They were trying to, they already identified him as a counter-revolutionary, so they would now openly basically criticize and sometimes even torture him. And you can see there's a blood on his head. And at the same time, the woman in the blue shirt is literally his wife. And what she's gonna doing there is she's openly condemning her husband to show she has already cut ties from him. So this is the thing that they did to bring the sort of joint responsibility. And at the end, so they destroyed people's trust, and even sometimes among the just so that they can better control everyone's mind. So this is I would say it's a destruction of the public's or the people's natural morality in it. So after that, they started to go through all these the details of what I said, and one thing it scared me most, or heavily shocked me, is the policeman literally read every single word I said in that group chat. It's no any loss. I immediately remember, yes, this is exactly what I said. So at that time, I just immediately realized, wow, they could, if they want, they could just take anyone's privacy out at any time. So, but at the end, the one thing it seems kind of fortunate here is it didn't go that worse. I was still released after being asked to sign to write a confessional letter. But even it seems it's down, but I'm still always fair, because it's just there's always an invisible eyes are watching me. He's everywhere and seeing everything I did online or offline. So at that time, after this happened, I honestly started to keep a low profile, because that happened on the April of 2021, which I already received the notification from my university, UC Santa Barbara. They're saying the international students the offline course were going to come back, so that international students can come back as well, can go to the school here as well. So I choose to keep a low profile because I don't want the government to put me on the exit control list. The government, they don't want the people who may become a dissident in the overseas to leave China. So if they leave China, they will just become someone like me to start. They will say they're trying to smear their government, smear their regime. So I keep it quiet for a little bit, and fortunately, thanks God, I was not eventually put into that list, and I successfully arrived here by my student visa on September 12, 2021. And I still remember the moment when I saw the city flights of the greater LA after 13 hours of a flight. It was really a moment. I just saw so many things at there. Sometimes, and one thing I just think about, or has always been haunting me, is why this would happen. and why it's not just in China, but everywhere, like why people have this kind of inclination they're trying to do, they can't recognize the risks of all these things covered under the good names. So, and previously, and also in the most time, I think it's because of kind of like ignorance or, or just sort of people's like neglection. But until very recently, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I saw the thing, and maybe you also saw the news, like after Charlie was unfortunately assassinated, there are people like literally celebrating for his death. And honestly, in my opinion, those things are quite scary. And it's because I'm in that kind of sadness. Literally, a man who speaks out the truth was killed. So I'm angry. I'm kind of like furious with that as well. It's like, they probably do need a mechanism to punish those people. And yes, it's true that there's some attempt from the current administration, even though it's just immediately gives me an answer to the previous question, because lots of people, they're not like acting in the moral way, like they disregarded, they deconstructed the morale. They're no longer. This is the most important thing, is they no longer willingly trying to sustain. They no longer willingly be moral and to sustain the freedom like shared by everyone. Like I think this is exactly what in the 2020 I was baptized, and when I was baptized, my patron saint is Venerable Fulton Sheen, and in his book Communism and Consciences of the West, I think this impressed me the most. He said, the basic struggle today is not between individualism and collectivism, free enterprise and socialism, democracy and dictatorship. These are only the superficial manifestations of a deeper struggle, which is moral and spiritual, and involves all else, whether man shall exist for the state, or the state for man, and whether, this is the most important thing, I think, freedom is of the spirit or the concession of a materialized society. So in this case, he returned to the definition of the freedom. Because literally, I think it happened again and again. The communists, the CCP, and also some like radical leftists adhere. They use the freedom. They are defending the freedom. But it's literally like, if both sides are defending freedom, then what's wrong with that? It's like the problem can only be on the definition of it. Because for the people on the left side, they may think the freedom just means doing whatever I want to do. But unfortunately, that's not. Even in the ancient like Greek, Rome literature, the liberty or freedom in general actually defined as a sort of like ability to self-govern. And I can see that. In China, it's like people have no trust, because it may caused by various reasons, but we're not diving deep into that. It's like people are so afraid of each other. So in other words, it's like no one is willingly trying to obey certain like the moral structures, and they eventually have to, or they are forced to rely upon the sort of like entity like the Chinese Communist Party to do that thing for them. So at this point, I think it's pretty clear. The way to defend the freedom is to be the moral, and to defend the truth of the God. And that's all my message here today, and I welcome your questions. It's 19. Yeah, so I remember that clearly, is that when I went to the police station, like they first confirmed, because they saw I'm like above 18, so they went to a normal proceeding with me. Yeah, I remember that very clear. Yeah. Ah, please.
What happened to your family?
What?
Your family, are they still in China?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, my family, they are living in China, and they're not, honestly, they're always discouraging me from participating in or have any opinion on that. Like, I mean, it's like we have a different opinions, and they are not such, I would totally understand why they would thinking that way, because they neither had the chance to study in the US, they neither had the chance to learn what the freedom is, but because of their hard working, I'm able to study here. So I don't blame them for being like, not trying to interfere or not trying to be outspoken, or, I just understand that, and I still try my best to connect with them. So the one thing I mentioned about the WeChat is, honestly, I really don't want to use it, but it's just because my parents, they don't know how to use the VPN. I can't contact them by other social media platforms here. So that's the only thing. So I unfortunately has to use it. So I'm still like, have the connection, and we're still have a lot of talks. Yeah. Please.
Did you become a dissident as soon as you came to America?
No, I already became. I think basically when I was in the high school, I'm like, it's more ambiguous, but especially things happened during the pandemic, especially when I saw the government firstly said they first punished 8 doctors for saying the COVID was infectious. And after they did that, it's literally proven it is infectious, and it got immediately spread to the rest of the world. So all these things like build one another. So I can say 100% before I came here, I'm already a dissident. Yeah.
What was school like for you?
What?
What was school like for you?
Which school? Like?
Just say elementary.
What? Elementary. I went to the boarding school. Like, it's kind of like they have a very strict schedule every day, and basically for the Chinese kids are like studying and doing test papers, doing problem sets all the time. Like, there's no really much like interesting thing on that, and I see that honestly these things may help to some limited extent, but it's not that like, it's still, I would say it's a form of like control. They want to like enslave or trying to instill the idea of obedience from the very, very young age of the kid. Yeah. Yeah, but I would say it's a very embarrassing, awkward thing to explain to my friends why my WeChat got suspended and why. And it's, I can only say I only partially recovered. But anyway, it's like, for me, it's like, for those who I couldn't recover, I think they don't matter that much to me as well. So it's in general not a loss, but it's still like a very troublesome thing to lose the WeChat, because the government, they actually can abuse it on anyone. They can give like I said about the QR code, they actually did give the red QR code to the dissidents to prevent them from boarding onto any public transportation. So they're no longer able to come to Beijing to protest. So it's just altogether, Please.
So you can't go back to China if you wanted to?
What?
So you can't go back to China even if you wanted to?
First, I'm not really, honestly, if it's China, if it's for the country, I really don't, I have no interest on returning to it. But you know what, the one thing is I do miss my family. I think all my parents, my relatives are living there. So like from that viewpoint, if there's like no other chance we can meet outside of China, then I think, probably that's the point I do want to, that's the only point I do want to, that makes me want to go back to China. But broadly speaking, I don't want to. Yeah, at this moment, it's just a very oppressive dictatorship country. And I think if I go back, maybe they have already investigated me. I don't know. Like maybe I'll get immediately controlled, arrested when I went back to China in the airport. And this happened as well. Yeah.
Did you have a job?
What?
Did you have a job in China?
Well, when I was in the high school, like the only task, our high school is just, I went to the international, it's very competitive. It's just, I must like spend all the time to study English so that I can pass TOEFL, I can finish SAT, I can get some APs, just like probably you guys are doing here. But even though those are not in my native tones, so I don't have the time to do that. And yeah, I only have a job once because I graduated from college, and I did an internship here. Yeah, that's all that happened at here. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are you able to go back to China? Like, would they let you like enter the country again?
They definitely would, but that means I may never going out. Like they may. It's like they definitely want. If I go back to China, they arrested me, I will no longer able to say anything. I'll just disappear, like going to the nowhere. Like they definitely want, but I think what is waiting for me is, it's hard. It's just gonna be terrible. Yeah.
Was there any like propaganda towards America?
Definitely, and I can see all basically those pictures. The drugs abusers in the LA, in New York City, they are perfectly exploited by the CCP to do that propaganda. And actually because of that, my parents and also my grandparents, they felt that they asked me all the time to see like, oh, is there any gunshot? Is there any all these things? They're just worried. I mean, they're not like, I don't think there's any bad intention from them, but it's just, the propaganda is working. Like it did influence many people who have never had the chance to go to America to see what the most realistic and general representative situation is.
So did that like affect your decision to come here?
What?
Did that like affect your decision to come here, like to America?
You mean my visa qualification?
Yeah, like, were you like scared to come to America because of that?
Not at all. Like, because I do see the truth of it, and I do, from the VPN, I do have that kind of like critical thinking, or it's like a forced learned ability when I try to figure out, when I swimming in this like propaganda info. So I don't see those as truths at all. So yeah.
What part of China was you from?
Beijing, the capital city. So it's like, you know what? The Tiananmen massacre. This thing. It's like, when I was in I think middle school, I was even forced to attend what they are calling the rising the flag ceremony. It's like a 4 a.m. in the morning when the sun is rising, and but honestly, that's very like, it's a part of the. So I'm very familiar with all those kind of like propaganda or performative politics, because it's all happening in Beijing. Yeah. What? Normally, they can, but sometimes for those who are sensitive or who are like on the governmental list, they may not be rejected, because literally anyone, you buy the airplane ticket, bus ticket, or even the train ticket, anything you must show your citizen ID, which is your only identity, and they will just you have to both show your ticket and ID to them. Yeah.
Does the CCP like censor any information about the Uyghur Muslim group that they're holding concentration camp?
I'm not sure on that, because honestly, this is all, I can tell you, this is out of my boundary of my knowledge, because I grew up in the eastern part of China, and this is more probably people from Xinjiang, from the western part of China. They may know better on that issue. But I'll definitely try to dig in that to see if there's any document or any info on that and try to understand. Because honestly, there's one thing is the CCP, they will first enforce their crazy like surveillance policy in Xinjiang, where Muslims live. They will first do that at the experimental field, and then gradually started to expand it to the entire country. So that's the one thing I can say on that. But yeah, I need to do more research or seek more information, ask more people on that. Yeah.
What was the punishment if you got caught using a VPN?
Yeah, this is a changing thing. Like when I was in China in 2020, probably it's just a warning, like from the police station. But now I heard, for example, if you're a college student, you can get expelled by the college for using VPN. And the college, all those because there are just lots of young people, and they do want to control these young people. They don't want them. They're more likely to protest, so they're now just using full technology on their campus internet to detect anyone who dares to use VPN. Yeah, and being called, it might be a warning, it might be a disciplinary action, yeah, up to expulsion. Yeah.
Were your friends dissidents, or do they agree with the CCP?
You know what? I lost a lot of friends, of Chinese friends, because being a dissident, and I'm not but I also make a lot of new friends because I'm in the dissident community. And for example, one guy I just met a couple of months ago, he's the youngest political prisoner from Hong Kong. He's only 15 years old. And he came to the US with a legal visa, and he claimed the asylum legally. He has he's also a high achieving student. He got a high score in SAT, AP scores. Yeah, that's one example, and there are lots of examples of that as well. Yeah. So, and it's easier to find them at here, because maybe in China there's some dissident, but they're not speaking out for any reason. They're just being quiet for probably their own sake or their family's sake. Yeah. Any else question?
Ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking Mr. Bao.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Bao, you have the privilege of attending some classes. I am going to put
Yeah.
you under the care of Mr. Rose over here. What time does your class begin? I've forgotten.
For us, I think it's